Hi there. I am the CRM Ninja, and on today's episode of the Oops Factor, I have Marty Kleynhans. Welcome to the show, Marty.
Nice to be here. Thanks, Iwa.
Pleasure. I mean, we've chatted so much over the last year and a half, and it's great, to have some one-on-one time.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, for those watching this who are wondering why my head is appearing in the middle of what I can only describe as some delicious-looking waffles, there is a reason for this. And the reason is, I understand that you would go to great lengths to go anywhere for some waffles or pancakes. Is this true?
Yeah. Well, it's more in line with like driving. So
Okay.
I'm the type of person who will like wake up on a Saturday morning and be like, we're going for a drive, and then literally drive to like another province or another area or another country just to have waffles or pancakes or something along those lines.
You've woken up on a Sunday morning and you've driven to another country.
Yeah, I would gladly do that. Well, here especially because Europe is so tiny, as opposed to like where I'm from South Africa. I'll give you an example. In Johannesburg, it takes you about 6 hours to drive to Durban, and like sometimes you'll wake up like 6 o'clock in the morning and you'll be like, oh, really, really want waffles. Okay, let's take a drive to the beach. 6 hours down to the beach and go eat some waffles on the beach. You know what I mean? So here, like here, you could if you're in like Europe or whatever, 5 hours in the car could take you like through three countries if you're in the right place.
That is true. So you have actually driven from Johannesburg to Durban to get waffles, and then you've driven back.
Yeah, just for the day.
Okay. I have to ask, how did this start? At what point in your life did you decide, screw it, waffles, I'm going?
I don't actually know where it originates from. It's not definitely something I started, but it's definitely something that I'd heard of many times, and it's almost like a bit of a cultural thing, especially around with people who like just enjoy driving. Like I personally love driving. I will drive. Like to give you an example, like I will drive to Cape Town from Johannesburg, which is like a 24-hour drive.
Yeah.
So you're literally behind the wheel for 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like I will get in a car and do a road trip for hours.
Does it depend on the actual car that you have, or it just doesn't matter what the vehicle is, you're just going to drive
It
it?
doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just that enjoyment of like just going on a drive, going on an adventure, driving into the unknown, taking a route you don't know. And the point of the journey is actually just to enjoy the drive and just go and have an experience. And at the end of it, the reason you're going is for some odd, stupid reason. Like I once had this coffee in this coffee shop and they made great waffles. So let's drive there. It doesn't matter that it's 6 to 8 hours away or 24 hours away. Who gives a damn? Let's just drive.
This this is incredible. I mean, I've got to
Yeah.
some great lengths to do various things in my life, not around waffles. But
Well,
I'm just
that's just one reason. You know what I mean? You can think of, who knows, dozens of reasons. Like, oh, I know this place that makes the best scones, but it's in the middle of a desert. Let's go.
okay.
You
But does
know?
it have to be the best waffles, or is it just simply you're going for a drive and then happen to be waffles at the end? Because if it's the best
Yeah,
of something, I can
basically.
understand the travel.
It's purely as motivation to encourage others to join.
Okay, what's the largest group of people you've had with you who have gone on one of these drives to get waffles?
Four, including me.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to drive an old Mini, an old like 1975 style Mini.
Oh, they're great. I got one for
And
my
we
wife when
once
we got
drove
married.
down to Durban with a car full of people in that little car just to go down for the day, swim in the sea, and have a cup of coffee and some pancakes.
Wow. Okay, so then the next important question is with waffles and pancakes, what do you have with them? Because I know people like putting
Oh,
different toppings and different things on them. So what do you have and what do you not like?
I love ice cream and syrups. So
Okay.
that's like traditional, like in your picture there, you got that typical Belgian waffle with like the ice cream and then the syrup on top. Oh, that's heaven. And then I suppose the same with pancakes, but I also like savory pancakes. Like you could have
Ah,
like pancakes with like fried bolognese, meat, and that type of thing in it. That's also really cool. I'm an
okay.
adventurous eater, so it could really do anything.
So basically In my mind, you're saying, you turn around to the chef and say, surprise me.
Yeah, let's go. What's on the menu? Let's
What's
eat
the
it.
most unusual combination that you've had?
Um, there's a place in an area called Hartbeespoort, which is in South Africa, and they got this place called Pick a Pancake, which make these ginormous homemade pancakes. And they
Okay.
once made it almost had like a curry in it. So it was a pancake with like a stewed curry with curry and rice in it. It was quite nice, actually. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds to be a bit like, when in some restaurants, chefs serve soup, the soup with the cheese and stuff, inside a hollowed out baguette or hollowed out loaf.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So it's like an infusion of two different things, They're like, here's the sweet thing. Let's put something savory and make it interesting.
Okay, interesting. First I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Perhaps one of the listeners has had something similar. And then really my last question
You should
around
take a drive somewhere.
We should take a look. I like driving as well. For me, it's also partially the actual vehicle itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember some years ago when I was in the States, I visited the West Coast for a week and I was driving down the Pacific Coast Highway, the 101, and I happened to be in a red convertible 8-liter Mustang.
Oh,
Because
lovely.
I know it was
That's like living the dream.
October, November time. It was 29 degrees. I texted my dad, who was quite annoyed because it was pissing here in London, and it was great. It was great. And next to me riding down was a biker gang.
Oh wow, even better.
It was like really West Coast. And
yeah.
when I say biker gang,
all you needed was the right song, like "Highway to Hell."
they were very polite. They allowed me to take pictures of them when I was driving very safely in the car. I had a camera with an automatic, timer on it. But they were very. I wasn't doing anything to annoy them. I mean, they were very openly carrying weapons on them. It was like one of those biker gangs, but very nice, and they all waved at me. So the last question, we definitely need to go on a ride some. And people, you should sign up to go on a drive with Marty and get waffles.
Yeah.
Remember this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should build an app.
I wonder who could do that. I really wonder who would be able to. So the last question in the waffles area is, in Holland, they have stroopwafels.
Yes. Oh, nice. Yeah. You put it on top of your coffee. Oh, it's the best.
I'm assuming they have those in South Africa as well, and that you are a big fan.
Yeah, you do get them. Yeah, there's quite a few Dutch markets in South Africa. So you get there's a whole place, same area that I spoke about with the pancakes. There's a market there in Hartbeespoort called Jasmijn, which is a very Dutch sort of market, and they have all these import Dutch things. And you go there, and you have very traditional Dutch sweets and cakes. And
nice.
They got those like strip waffles, which is nice. They're all over the world, those things, actually. You can even get them at Starbucks now.
Yes, you can. They're not necessarily as good. It depends on the brand.
They're not the same. They're not the same. You can't compare them.
No, you cannot. So moving on from waffles and pancakes and wonderful drives to get them to the oops factor, what do you have to share with us today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know the topic of your video is all around like, where did something go wrong? And, how did it work out unexpectedly? Well, I have like dozens of stories to tell you, probably. Just
trying to
think of one that's appropriate, I think the biggest thing that I want to share is basically, and this is something that I believe in quite strongly, like historically, like as people, we tend to have like a certain career path, or we make decisions in a certain way. And my message to anyone is just that if you have the right attitude, it doesn't matter what happens, you can actually succeed in life. Because like in my history and in my work, like I haven't always made like great decisions. Sometimes I've made quite a few mistakes, but some of them are like sort of risk-taking mistakes. And my message is basically you should take those risks, because sometimes it won't work out, but sometimes it will be really good. And even though you make a mistake or you make a decision and it's a big oops, like, I've hurt myself, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be suffering from that long term. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Can you give an example of one or two of them? They don't need to be recent.
Sorry?
They don't need to be recent ones.
No, I'm thinking of one that's relevant to your audience, like something that like like a stupid example would be like burning a bridge with someone who you had a working relationship with, and then you had a bad experience with them. Like I had an experience where I was working through contracting with a company. I don't want to name the software company,
That's
but
fine.
basically I had a really bad experience and I reacted really negatively. And I like threw a tantrum. I was really young and naive, you know, and
I
threw like a
can't
little like,
imagine you throwing
I
a tantrum.
know, me, young and naive, and throwing a tantrum and having a fit. I mean, so, and basically I shouted and screamed and swore at this guy, like, and left. And that resulted in me not working for a period of time, you know. And so I had this like gap in my employment, which caused me like a lot of stress, a lot of concern. But what it actually did was, at the time I was young and I had a bad attitude. And what happened was it actually corrected my attitude. Through that experience, I actually had a positive result, and actually ended up sort of heading towards this sort of dream career where I am now.
So
So that's
did
what
you
I
realize
mean.
that? Did you realize that on your own, or was there somebody who sort of put their arm around you and said, Marty, I think we should have a chat about this. Let's see how we can help you get better at it.
No, nobody helped. I definitely learned a lot of it on my own. And going through that experience taught me a lot about dealing with things in life as well. So if you have any kind of like my message is always, if you're having a negative time, always try and find the positive, that small little positive thing. Because
Yeah.
even though something goes horribly pear-shaped, like sometimes it'll happen like on a project or in a personal matter, you know what I mean? Like sometimes something will just be like, oh, and it goes all negative. But at the end, you often can find a positive outcome. You know what I mean? Does
And it
that make
helps
sense?
because,
If you have the right attitude and the right mindset, you know?
yeah. And as you put there, if you have the right attitude and mindset, even if it's difficult to find it, but having, just a glimmer of something positive can help put your mindset into a more positive one, which
Yeah,
can then affect your mood and how you work and such. It has a
100%.
positive
Yeah,
outcome for that.
especially if you're halfway through it. Like if you like if you're in like sometimes you get like these projects where like it's going great and then it's not going so great, and then you end up with this like dip, right? And then you're like, ugh. And then you gotta like you gotta like sit back, kind of subtract yourself from the equation, try and find that little positive thing, and then all of a sudden the project gets exciting. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yes. Been through several of those recently myself, whereby things just happen in the way that you do. And again, you need to search for that positive item and try and keep it through
Yeah,
the times that aren't so positive.
I'm telling you, man, it all comes down to attitude. You know what I mean? And a lot of people struggle with that, and like people in general generally struggle with that. They don't understand that having a different attitude can really change the outcome of something. You know?
That is true. That is true. But our
Yeah.
mental state affects how we're going around things,
Yeah.
which
I mean,
is very important.
if you're on a downward spin and you don't have the ability to like look at it and go, did I react well to that? If you can't step back and go, oh, could I improve? And you don't take that opportunity to try and do better, you're going to struggle. And then if you do that, you'll be amazed at how much you can upswing things from a negative sort of situation. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So if I had to ask you for your top 3 tips in how people could do this, because it's very difficult, especially, when things aren't going well, it's very difficult to try and remain positive. What would your top 3 tips or piece of advice be to people for this?
The most important things, number one, is if the negative situation involves another person, or somebody reacting in a certain way, the most important thing you can do is try and put yourself in their shoes. So try and understand from their point of view. Like if let's say you're in a situation and you're having a negative experience, and this negative experience is related to someone specific, try and put yourself in their shoes, like take a step back, take yourself out of the equation.
Great.
The other thing, which is really important, is to learn to take a break. So step away. Like if it's something that's systematic, if you're at your PC and you're bogged down and you can't focus and you're actually really having a tough time with this negativity and you're not succeeding, like literally stand up, leave your computer, go take a walk and take a breather for like 10 minutes, go stand in your yard, go stand in the road, go for a walk, and think about how you can find the positive spin here. And the third one is just to try and like just always try and seek the positive outlook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't always see things as, I always call it fatalist thinking, where people think, oh, something goes wrong, so they immediately go negative and they think, oh, this is the end of the world, this project's going to crash and burn, or oh, this company is shit, or something like that. You know, like they immediately go, it's almost like they have like end of the world thoughts. Do you know what I mean? So like people go, oh my God, the Mayan calendar is coming to an end, so the world is going to end. You know, that kind of thinking, that like fatalist thinking. You know, they're like, oh, this project's going bad, it's going to crash and burn. When in fact, all they have to do is go, you know what? It's not going great, but if I just change my attitude and think a little more positively, guess what? We can succeed at this project and maybe get some more work.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Some very good pieces of advice there. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been great to have you on the show. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Viewers, we hope that you've enjoyed this episode. And again, if you are starting to feel hungry for waffles or pancakes, contact Marty and he will take you for a drive.
Let's go for a drive.
Go get some.
Might be a long one.
Could be a long way. Well, it depends where people are. You could drive to pick them up and then drive to where the waffles are. Feel free to check out the rest of the Oops Factor playlist, subscribe to the channel, and take a look at the blog. And if you would like to come on the show and share your own Oops Factor story, hit the link in the description below, fill in your details, and I'd love to have you on the show. But above all, have an amazing day.